こんにちは、ハリケーンフットボールです。今回の教材は、クリスタルパレスの鎌田大地に関する動画です。クリスタルパレスは、プレミアリーグ第26節で、バーンリーと対戦しましたが、降格圏に沈むチーム相手に、2点を取りながらも、あっという間に3点を取り返され、3対2の痛すぎる敗戦を喫しました。鎌田大地は復帰後、2戦目で先発出場し、かなり良いプレーも多くあったと思いますが、衝撃的な敗戦の結果からも、鎌田大地の評価もいまいちなものになってしまった気がします。パレスファンのプレイヤーレーティング動画では、鎌田のプレーを称賛しつつ、ベストなパフォーマンスではなかったとも言っています。実際どのように話しているのかチェックしてみましょ
う。Next, we have Adam Wharton. I gave him a 5, he gave him a 5.5. I thought in the beginning of the game it was very, very good. I think it was great to have Kamada in there. Saw a lot more progressive passing from both of them. They weren't always accurate for Adam because his passing was 51 out of 67, 76%. Had 2 shots, also had 84 touches, and let's see, I'm looking for passing the final third. He had, I think it was 14 passes in the final third. So he was always looking to get the ball forward. But after we go up 2-0, again, just balls that were poor. And again, you mentioned it was the Hannibal goal, right? Yeah, he's just not in position. I think West Ham was one. There's a couple other times when he's just too slow. I think it was maybe Man United. I'm pretty sure there's a goal there that he was just too slow defensively. He's a much better player than he's showing. I thought having Barner back would really be helpful, and I think at times it was, because going forward, getting first 30 so minutes was brilliant. I mean, Strand Larson, 2 great goals, the fluidity, the interchange play, the ball. I mean, the ball over the top for the Larson goal was so good for that first goal. The assist is so good, and then to have that head loss defense moment, it just poor. So again, not to slate him, but just to be honest, I just think Wharton has to have more consistent 90-minute performances. He's having too many times where he just doesn't play well enough and makes a mistake that costs us a goal, and we can't afford that in our system and the plight that we're in as far as needing points to kind of just stabilize the season. But your thoughts on one?
Yeah, I really, as people know who listen to this, that I really like Wharton. I like his profile player. I love him as a player, the things that he can do. He, in terms of, the passing is wonderful. And it's not many, players in the world who can pick out the passes that he can. But defensively, and this has been like a theme this season, like he just switches off, I think. And it's not in terms of, like, he gets some criticisms from, people at other clubs who are, looking to potentially get him, at their club next season, in terms of, his defensive work. But he's all right, in duels, like in, 1v1 duels. Like there was a chance they cleared a corner in the second half, and it was very strange because they cleared the corner, and the next thing I know it was Anthony and Wharton 1v1. And I thought like we could be in some real trouble, and he wins the ball like very cleanly, and we just start attacking again. But in terms of like tracking runners, like it's just been like an issue. Like against Leeds, he switched off. Against West Ham, he switched off. Yesterday, I thought he switched off. Like
that was the one. It was Leeds. The Leeds game. That was
yeah,
that was the one. Leeds away. Yeah, the 4-1.
Yeah. He just like switches off, and I don't really know what's going on. He needs to work on that side of the game because it is costing. It just seems to be costing us goals like way too regularly. So, that was the main reason I had to knock him down. And I thought in the second half, we just looked a bit of a mess. Like he had some good moments, like the balls that were being sprayed out to Munoz, I thought were very good, but I thought his passing as a whole in the second half wasn't very good. But I thought in the first 30 minutes, I thought he was really, really good. Obviously, we talked about, that ball to Strand Larson, which was, inch perfect. There was another one to Strand Larson a little bit earlier than that Strand Larson just missed, being able to take down. So I thought he was really good, but the defensive breakdowns are a bit worrisome. We just, like you said, he needs to just string together more consistent 90-minute performances. And we know we can because we've seen him do it.
Right.
So just hoping he gets back to that form. But yeah, yesterday was not his best overall game. There were, again, some very high highs, but the lows were quite low.
I agree. His midfield partner, Daichi Kamada, back from a long layoff where we've missed him. I gave him a 5. He gave him a 5. Your thoughts on how Kamada played?
I thought some of it was really good. Like, I thought, again, in the first bit when, the first 35 minutes or so, after we had gone up 2-0, in that first, part of the game, I thought him and Wharton were playing some really good stuff. Like, just picked up where they had left off in terms of, the fluidity, knowing, Daichi's going to be in that, left side, sitting a bit deeper, and, Wharton, toward the right, knowing where each other are, playing off each other well. I thought Daichi was using the ball well, created some chances. I thought it was, quite decent initially, but he might just be lacking a bit of sharpness, but there were just too many balls from him who were just loose. And he does kind of have a tendency for that, to be fair. But I thought yesterday was a bit more than usual. And again, this is his first start in, a month and a half. Right. He hasn't played since, he hasn't started since, City, which is, at the end of last year. So some of that could just be sharpness, but it was not his best game. And then the chance that he misses in the second half, I have no idea how he's managed to miss that. Again, I know it was pouring rain yesterday, at Selhurst, and, the ball would be coming fast, across the ground, because Mino skips it into the ground and it's bouncing. But that just, it has to be a goal. Like, I just have no idea how he's not scored that. So, yeah, it was, I thought there were flashes, but, like Wharton, it just wasn't nearly consistent enough as a whole. I like Daichi, but yeah, yesterday was not his best performance. We have a big game, next Thursday, the first leg of, the playoff. We're going to need, Wharton to come out to be on their games, because I'm sure we're going to be playing an astoundingly low block, and we're going to need to break that down. So we're going to need them at the top of the games. But yeah, yesterday from Daichi, just like, his midfield partner wasn't nearly consistent enough.
Yeah, and everything he said is spot on. And what I'll add is that what I like about him and Wharton is that they look to make forward passes. I mentioned that Wharton had the 14 passes that were forward thinking. Daichi had 8 of them. His first pass was in a match with a forward pass to Mitchell. Then he's passed into Gasson going for his G3. He's tried to force pass to John Strand Larson. He plays ball to Wharton, leads to the Strand Larson first goal. He's part of build up with Gasson and Lerma for the ball that gets out right to Lerma eventually. That leads to the second Strand Larson goal. So he's good. There were times when he switched off. I wasn't, defensively, which is not great. He had that tendency. But we look better as an attacking force with Wharton and Kamada. What we have to get from both of them is better defensive work, because they are, quote unquote, they're sixes, so they have to shield the back 3/5, and also win balls, be progressive, and getting the ball forward. Passing for 8 out of 46, 80%, higher than Wharton's in the 72 minutes, 60 touches. Defensively, 2 tackles, 7 recoveries, and he won 3 out of 4 ground duels. So he was combative winning balls, but there were just times when he was either positionally not quite in the right spot or just got beat. He wasn't dribbled by it all. But, those kind of things. But again, our best midfield combination going forward is Kamada and Wharton, but yesterday just wasn't one of their better games. Fact. So.
次は解説です。今回は難しいボキャブラリーはほとんどありませんでしたが、話し方と話すスピードにより、リスニングの難易度はかなり高かったと思いますし、私も一部聞き取れていないところもありましたので、わかる方がいれば教えてください。解説は簡単なボキャブラリーが多いですが、本日の解説をチェックしてみましょ
う。So again, not to slate him, but just to be honest, I thought.
Slate は強く批判するという意味の動詞です。特にイギリス英語でよく使われます。スポーツ解説では、選手や監督が酷評された時に使われます。で、プラ、やは slated by fans のように受動体でもよく使われます。ニュアンスはかなり強めで、ただのクリティサイズよりも辛辣です。I'm not to slate him は、叩くつもりはないという前置き表現です。サッカー系 YouTube では非常によく出る語彙です。
So again, not to slate him, but just to be honest, I thought. So again, not to slate him, but just to be honest, I thought an assist and the plight that were in.
plight は苦境、困難な状況という意味の名詞です。単に忙しいや大変というより、抜け出しにくい厳しい立場を表します。ニュースでは、弱い立場の人への同情を込めて使われます。スポーツ文脈では、低迷や降格争いの苦境を指すことがあります。In our plight は、今の苦しい状況ではという言い方になります。似た言葉にシチュエーションがありますが、plight の方が深刻で重い響きです。クリティシズムやミステイクと一緒に使うと、危機感が伝わる表現になります。
An assist and the plight that were in, an assist and the plight that were in.
So, that was the main reason I had to knock him down.
ノックダウンは、倒す、取り壊す、値段や評価を下げるという意味の駆動詞です。基本イメージは、 叩いて下に落とすです。人や物なら倒す、建物なら取り壊す、価格や評価なら下げるになります。サッカー採点の文脈で、アイハとノクヒンダンは、評価を下げたという意味です。単にクリティサイズではなく、点数や評価を具体的に落とすニュアンスが出ます。値段交渉では、ノックダウン・ザ・プライスの形がよく使われます。文脈で意味が変わるので、目的語を見て判断するのがコツです。
So, you know, that was the main reason I had to knock him down. So, you know, that was the main reason I had to knock him down, which was, you know, inch perfect.
インチプフェクトは、寸分の狂いもない、ドンピシャという意味の形容詞です。特にサッカーでは、パスやクロスの精度を褒めるときによく使われます。小さな単位なので、わずかなズレもないという強調になります。That was an inch perfect パスのように、名詞の前で使うのが典型です。パーフェクトだけよりも、精密さや狙い通り感が強く出ます。日本語では、完璧、ピンポイント、ドンピシャが近いです。プレミア系の解説では品質なので覚えると便利です。
Which was, you know, inch perfect, which was, you know, inch perfect. It was because I'm sure we're going to be playing an astoundingly low block.
astoundingly は、驚くほど、信じられないほどという強い強調の副詞です。ウェルやルーリよりも驚きの感情がはっきり入ります。astound は、仰天させるという動詞で、そこから派生した形です。The price was astoundingly high のように、程度の大きさを強く言えます。スポーツでは、astoundingly low block のように、極端さを表すのに便利です。日本語では驚くほど、とんでもなくものすごく、あたりが近いです。強調が強いので、使いすぎると大げさに聞こえる点も注意です。
Just because I'm sure we're going to be playing an astoundingly low block. Just because I'm sure we're going to be playing an astoundingly low block.
Because they're quote unquote, they're sixes.
コイトワンコイトは会話で使う表現で、ここは引用ですという合図です。文章でいうダブルクォーテーションを口で言っているイメージです。いわゆるという意味で使われることが多いです。時々皮肉を込めて、本当にそうなのか疑っているニュアンスも出ます。He's a コイトワンコイトエクスペートは、自称専門家っぽい響きになります。スポーツ解説でも、コイトワンコイトセックスのように、用語を強調するときに出ます。日本語ではいわゆるなどに訳すと自然です。
Because they're quote unquote, they're sixes. Because they're quote unquote, they're sixes.
いかがでしたか。鎌田大地は、復帰後2戦目で、早くも先発出場となりましたが、長期離脱を感じさせないほど、素晴らしいプレーが多く、やはり鎌田が中盤に入ると、縦にボールが何度も入り、サイドに展開され、低い位置でも、うまくボールが回されているように感じましたし、実際に何度もチャンスを作り、チャンスにつながるようなビルドアップに関わっていました。それでも、特に何度かボールロストした場面や、相手にパスしてしまったようにも見えた場面では、ほんの少しだけ、試合感の問題かなとも感じまし。たが、個人的には、降格圏内のバーンリー相手に、順調すぎるように見えるほど、早々に2点を挙げ、その直後に3点を簡単に許してしまったようにも見えること、その悔やみきれない敗戦という結果も、その負け方に対しても、マイナス感情が大きく働くものだったと思いますし、試合に勝ってさえいれば、鎌田のパフォーマンスもとても良かったと言われるようなものだったんじゃないかと、個人的には感じました。実際に良いプレーが多くあったことは、誰もが分かっているでしょうし、長期離脱を感じさせなかったことも、誰もが感じたものでしょう。結果としては賛否ある評価になったと思いますが、個人的には、次の試合が単純に楽しみになるものでしたので、鎌田大地にはこの試合のパフォーマンスをただ続けてほしいなと思います。本日もご視聴いただきありがとうございました。またすぐにお会いしましょう。